What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're heading out into Manchester city centre with a Fujifilm X-S10 paired with a Viltrox 56mm f1.7, so that's probably about an 85mm full frame equivalent. I was a little bit excited to get out and shoot, as on the train ride in there was the beginnings of a beautiful sunset. So sit back, relax as we stroll around Manchester taking a few snaps. I probably got a little bit prematurely excited for the sunset on my way in, as it's been a good few years since I've been to Manchester for some street photography. So if you follow me along on this photo walk, you'll probably start to work out the problems that you encountered with that sunset. Recently I've been wanting to experiment a little bit more with shooting from the hip and getting a few more of those style of shots. So here I thought I'd try and experiment with a few. They didn't turn out exactly as I'd like, but I really like this one in particular. I'm actually thinking of coming back in the future to do a whole photo walk shooting from the hip and seeing what kind of results that gives me. And since this walk, I've done a little bit more research on the settings, the focal lengths, and I definitely think the 56mm was a little bit too tight for shooting from the hip. Also, shooting wide open at f1.7 didn't help either. Does anyone else hold the breath when they press the shutter button? Is that just me? Let me know in the comments below. This shot here is one of my favourites from the day. I really enjoyed the way that the tones on the bus matched those on the subject. I definitely think the edit here helped those colours pop that little bit more as well. By now you've probably worked out the problem that I faced with the sunset, and that is due to the height and the close quarters of the buildings. A lot of the sunset was actually hidden in the location I was, especially using the focal length that I was as well. But spoiler alert, I actually managed to find a spot where the stars aligned, well, should I say the streets and the sun aligned, and I got some of my favourite shots there, so stick around for those. Here I also wanted to play a little bit with the slower shutter, capturing the motion of the trams in the background, with some subjects stood on the platforms, kind of stood still. But I was struggling to time someone standing with the tram's movement, and I was a little bit cautious of how much I've been lingering around, so I penciled that idea for a return visit. Walking past here, the lights opposite caught my eye, especially having those glass buildings opposite. So I thought to myself that I wonder if I can use those reflections from those glass buildings somehow to frame the subject on the opposite side of the street. So here I'm just using that dark pillar that you can see inside to help clean the reflections up a little, to allow the subjects to pop that little bit more. I couldn't quite work the angles that I wanted to get the lights where I wanted them, so I just turned around and went for plan B and caught the subject framed by the LED lights instead. Carrying on down the street a little bit further, I really like this glass corner, the way that you could shoot through and see people walking on both sides of the street. So I stayed here for a little while, working the scene, just waiting for some interesting subjects to walk through. I was having a little bit of difficulty focusing, so I switched over to manual focusing and just trying to pull focus through the glass on each side of the street depending who was coming into frame. After this, I made my way over towards the Manchester Central Library, towards all the arches. But I probably hung out around here for a good 10-15 minutes, waiting for someone to interact with the arches, leaning in them, walking through, going about their day-to-day life. But it was knocking off time on a Friday, so everyone just seemed in a mad rush to get somewhere. Here I wanted to try and capture a little bit of motion of the trams, so I slowed my shutter down to 1/15th of a second and then set my aperture to about f9 I think it was, and tried to keep as still as possible, capturing this dad and this lad sat on a bench while the world was rushing them by. While I was taking one of these shots, someone on a bike actually rolled through the frame, and I really liked the abstract feel this gave one of the shots. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. I actually managed to find the sunset poking its little head out, and these benches were screaming to be used as leading lines in these shots. So, you guessed it, that's exactly what I did. I really like the way that the sunset was illuminating the subjects' heads as they walked through the frame. And with that last shot, we slowly draw this POV to a close. And with that one, we slowly draw this POV to a close with these last few images. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. If you've got a favourite image from the walk, let me know in the comments below. And with all that said and done, I'll catch you in the next one.